Chris Stuckmann is a well-known name in the YouTube film space. With over 2 million subscribers and more than 14 years of reviews under his belt, he's been referred to as an influential voice for movie criticism, which is why it came as such a shock when one of the most infamous fan rewrites in internet history turned out to be his.
You've crossed the line and I can't accept that.
Tell that to Zod Snap.
His Batman v Superman script was ridiculed and turned into memes, but it was his response to the backlash that made everything so much worse.
It stopped being funny, and it went too far. Some of you have gone too far.
To call Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice a divisive film would be putting it lightly. Released on March 25th, 2016, it was met with largely negative reviews, with many criticizing its convoluted storyline and departure from comic book accuracy. While a dedicated group of Zack Snyder supporters continued to defend it, the film remains for the most part a disappointing portrayal of such an iconic showdown in the eyes of comic book fans. And upon its release, one of those fans was Chris Stuckmann.
This is a really pretty movie. This is a really good looking movie. It's also a mess. Batman v Superman has a lot of problems, and most of them are narrative and story-based.
In the review, he pointed out that some of the casting choices worked well, like Ben Affleck as Batman. Stuckmann also noted that the action sequences were enjoyable, but there were many things he took issue with. By the end of his review, Chris ended up grading the film a C+, and for the most part, his viewers agreed. A couple days later, he did a spoiler discussion with John Flickinger where they would go more in depth with the movie's problems, and for a few weeks, that was it. Chris Stuckmann left it at that, until April 16th. This is my rewrite of the big fight in Batman v Superman. Gives Bats some more depth and Supes clear motivation. This was the only preface he gave to the script attached to his tweet. There was no context provided or any kind of sign that suggested it wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. After Stuckmann posted it, he went out with his wife and some friends while the internet exploded.
Batman remained silent. Superman continued. I'm surprised you can find time to kill criminals in between drinks. It's a terrible line. A tiny smirk appears on Batman's face?
The dialogue was clearly unpolished, with lines like Batman directly referring to himself as the world's greatest detective while the heroes smirk at each other. Needless to say, most people who read the script found it corny, but there was one line in particular that stuck with everyone.
So I should have just stood by and let him destroy the planet. The people you've killed may be criminals, but they're fathers, sons, brothers. You've crossed the line, and I can't accept that.
Tell that to Zod Snap Neck.
Oh, God.
How do you tell something like that?
With that, the memes started pouring in.
The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
Tell that to Zod Snap Neck.
I'll take you in without breaking you.
Tell that to Zod Snapped Neck.
You're just like one of the criminals.
Tell that to General Zod Snapped Neck.
At a time when the movie was still fresh, it made sense that his tweet received so much attention. But for a film that was criticized and disliked by so many, claiming that his script would fix its problems was a bold statement. While some felt it had some good ideas, to most, the rewrite was a downgrade. When Chris got home later that day and saw the reception, he was dismayed. He knew it wasn't his best work, but the internet treated the post like it was supposed to be. In an effort to save face, Stuckmann began responding. First, he claimed that it was written in 20 minutes. But all in all, he didn't seem very bothered. Thanks for the feedback on my idea for Batman v Superman. Just wrote it for kicks, hashtag Zod Snapped Neck. But the hate for his script didn't stop there, so that following morning, he tweeted some more. You see, if I had worked 3 years on that rewrite, then I'd be offended. But 20 minutes for fun? I'm laughing with you. He tried to keep that energy as the days went on. But at a certain point, Stuckmann hit his limit and released another response, this time in the form of a 26-minute video uploaded to his YouTube channel.
I took 20 minutes and I wrote some very unpolished dialogue, and essentially just to say, hey, here's my little fan idea of how this could maybe happen. The thing is, I forget that I do have a following on Twitter. I forget sometimes that I do have a substantial amount of people who follow me on Twitter. And I also forget that in some ways I'm viewed as a voice in the YouTube movie reviewing community.
The biggest point Chris wanted to hammer in was that he didn't put much effort into the script, constantly reiterating that it only took him 20 minutes.
So I had about 20 minutes. I took 20 minutes. That took me 20 minutes to write. And you spend 20 minutes. It only took me 20 minutes for fun. That took me less than half an hour.
Did he mention that he didn't put much effort into it, or how it only took 20 minutes to write? So let me get this straight just for the sake of clarity. He's saying that he wrote it in 20 minutes for fun, right? Not only did viewers find it funny just how many times he said it, but they also found it hard to believe.
Just looking at this, I don't believe he only took 20 minutes making it. I reckon that he would have...
Well, 20 minutes to write 3.5 pages in, like, final drafts? I mean, it's pretty quick.
You can't go around murdering people. You know, you're just like one of the criminals. And then Batman could have said, oh, well, tell that to General Zod's snapped neck. And then, well, tell that to General Zod's snapped neck.
Throughout the video, he stated multiple times that he was unbothered by the hate, and that he was laughing with everyone.
I'm laughing with you. I almost got an action figure of General Zod and turned his neck around and put him right there. I'm not kidding, I almost did it. It doesn't really bother me.
But to most of the audience, it was clear in his half-an-hour long video that he was affected. People found his reaction ironic, and it only added fuel to the fire.
I had a moment for maybe an hour where I said, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Because if that's really what it's like when I basically, for fun, write something and just say, hey, here's an idea, what's the point of even trying?
He didn't want to make this video, but we're all grateful for his sacrifice. This video is funnier than the situation. However, some definitely did take things way too far, with one person finding Stuckmann's name in the phone book and sending hate messages to his father. Chris was understandably upset about that. Still though, most of the response to his video criticized him for being a hypocrite, suggesting that if he was going to spend so much time bashing other people's films with negative reviews, that he needed to have thicker skin, especially considering that he framed the tweet like it was meant to be taken seriously and that it would add more depth to the movie. How could people have known that it wasn't a genuine effort? Regardless, Stuckmann ended up taking down the video shortly after, despite saying he wasn't ashamed of anything. If he had laughed off the jokes and kept making his usual content, the internet probably would have let it go. But because of his reaction, the rewrite has continued to follow him almost a decade later. Some sympathized with Chris and felt that the internet's reaction was overblown, but the memes never really stopped. Chris Stuckmann is doing well and is undeniably successful. His feature-length horror film Shelby Oaks was the most funded horror movie Kickstarter of all time, and it's about to have a theatrical release. When the film was first coming out in 2024 though, posts were still bringing up the Zod snapped neck line. He's chosen to stop making negative reviews and upload videos exclusively for the movies he likes, because he realized just how much work went into filmmaking and doesn't want to bash other directors. Many have argued that this was a bad decision, stressing that criticizing bad movies is essential to understanding what makes a good one. And when he made the announcement, the rewrite jokes were hotter than ever. By this point, it seems like he's learned to laugh the situation off and ignore the hate, because at the very least, he gave the internet some solid memes and made Batman v Superman look like a masterpiece.